And Anabaptists throughout the German areas will be forced to become Lutheran in the areas that are Lutheran princes, or Calvinist in the areas that have Calvinist princes, and that's part of the Peace of Augsburg or the Peace of Westphalia, or they'll have to be Catholic. But there's no religious freedom that allows you to choose whatever you want to be. The Anabaptists are brutally, violently, suppressed. Now, what's the effect on women? Well, I should have put the effect on education here, but that was the essay you guys wrote before, so hopefully it probably will not be on the test. But it's really interesting to think about the effect of this on education. The Reformation meant that both sides were encouraging people to read and to learn about their faiths. And so you've got Protestants encouraging people to read so that they can read the Bible and read the Bible to their children so that they can develop that ability to discern Christian truth, to have a conscience that can read the Bible and therefore figure out what's right or wrong. And Catholics also are spreading education, for example, the Jesuits or the Ursuline Sisters, because they want to spread the faith. Just like the Protestants want to spread the faith, so do the Catholics. And so they want to have what are called apologists on both sides. And an apologist is someone who defends a side. And so they want to educate good apologists for Catholicism or for Lutheranism, and that's why this education is expanding. And so, as we noted, the Catholic Church creates dioceses with seminaries as part of that, and these religious orders, as well as Protestants, will be creating all sorts of schools. And those schools, in some cases, will be open to bright peasant children, but mostly for the emerging middle class. And of course, remember that going on at the same time as this religious upheaval is a dramatic but very gradual commercial change known as the Commercial Revolution, where you're seeing the emergence of the bourgeoisie, the increasing population, very slowly, but the increasing population of merchants and lawyers and bankers that have the money to be educated and to educate their children. Now, what are the effects on women? Well, what's interesting is that one of the areas where many people decided not to, many people resisted change, resisted the Protestant Reformation, was the Catholic nunneries. Now, in some cases, Catholic nuns, many wanted out, but there are historical examples of many Catholic nuns that resisted it, because the Catholic nunnery was the last place that a woman could go that was separate from men. And so the educated women in society before the Reformation were nuns. And so the Protestant Reformation emphasizes marriage for women, that women are good mothers and good supporters of their husbands and good, sort of family helpers. Luther, for example, marries his, sweetheart, a nun who, they get married. Katrina von Bora is her name. And they have a child. And I think you guys read that last DBQ in which Luther comments on the death of that child. So this will have a profound impact on women, right? In these Protestant areas, women will be expected to be married. And therefore, women that are not married will be viewed with suspicion, which leads to, if you jump down a little farther, witchcraft, right? There is an upswing of witchcraft during this time. The majority of people that are perceived as being witches are old women. And the reason why is partly there's all sorts of ideas about, in the post-Black Death world, in which there's all these societal upheavals like the 30 Years' War, as well as these questions about who is right and who is wrong. This focus on religion, and if you choose the wrong religion, you're damned to hell. So there's this focus on sort of making sure that you're not going to be wrong, and because there's this focus on religion, people are very afraid about bad, evil sources of satanic influence on this earth, right? And so those are the witches, right? This group and the sorcerers, this group of dark people that are spreading bad, satanic things on earth. Obviously, that's not an area of expertise for me. We're going to skip the religious wars. Obviously, the Reformation causes dramatic political changes in that it's used by the, often it's used by the nobles to resist kings, and so we see these tensions between these two sides. And what happens is often the kings are able to win because, for example, in the case of England, they're able to use the religion to control the religion. And in France, even though religious toleration is decreed, it doesn't prevent a strong absolutist monarchy from forming in the aftermath or in the 17th century, right, leading up to Louis XIV. And he'll eventually end religious toleration there. But the bigger effect of these religious wars is the emergence of people that don't care about religion so much, right? And so the beginning of the secularization of Europe. And these people that don't care about religion so much but want peace and stability instead are known as politiques. And two of the most prominent politiques are Elizabeth I in England, who in her 39 articles, she gives these broad statements of faith that allow there to be differences over specific policies. And so they're broad statements that allow for nuance. And a second example of a politique is Henry IV, or Henry of Navarre in France, who issues the Edict of Nantes and allows religious toleration. Okay. Now, science will continue this secularization trend. Question, Andrea?
Yeah, if you're saying like politics don't really want to deal with religion, does that mean that, like, I don't understand why Henry of Navarre would issue the Edict of Nantes?
Well, he wants there to be political unity under his leadership. And so the only way to create political stability is to allow a degree of religious toleration. In other words, to acknowledge that there will be religious disunity, but that does not prevent there from being political unity. And before this, there's this idea that if you're a different religion, you can't follow that different king, right? There's more identification with religion than with nationality. So people that were Catholic viewed other Catholics more similarly than they'd view, say, other French people that were Protestant. And that's why you see the Spanish sort of wanting to defend the Catholics up in the Netherlands, and the English wanting to defend the Protestants of the Netherlands, is because there is this, and all those people in the 30 Years' War as well, is there is some political or religious affinity. And at this time, you can argue religion trumped politics as a source of identity. And the politics say no. We want to create a stable political order in which people follow the uniform government, and the religious order doesn't need to be uniform. That's not necessary for political stability.
Does the term politique only refer to leaders in this period, or can it refer to later centuries?
Well, it usually is referring to these people who are sort of at the end of the wars of religion, who are emerging to try to prevent, or throughout the wars of religion, but who are trying to prevent the continuation of these religious wars. That's how it's usually used. You can use it, but you'd be referencing a term that usually refers to this.
Okay.
But you certainly could use it as, so Napoleon is a sort of politique, because you could argue that, right? Because he wants political uniformity, so he allows, with his concordat, he allows the Catholic Church to be practiced once again in France. So you could reference that, but yeah, you could definitely call him a politique.
Okay.
Yeah.